I got a question to y'all. Do y'all feel that Elon Musk today answered any questions for you? I went to the website. My problem with the website is I understand he's not exactly into the government, but why are we selling Bitcoin on the DOGE website? Doge Bitcoin. I guess that's how he's funding what he's doing because he's been asked by the president of the United States to do this job, and he's an employee of the government, but he's not taking a paycheck. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're a volunteer, but you're an employee that's not taking a paycheck. Then when he was asked the questions about his own contracts today, so his answer was, I promise you that it's fair and clear. People don't understand this. If you're a contractor with the federal government and you're being asked to look over the books of that said person that is your customer, and your contract is not to look over the books, but to build rockets and give satellites access to the government. That means you're a contractor overlooking other contracts. That means you're a contractor being asked to overlook other contracts. I find it quite suspicious. I don't care how good it sounds. Yeah, the government's a mess. There's a lot of stuff out there. I talked about this on one of my podcasts a long time ago. There's still bills owed from the Civil War, money out there for people, for veterans of the Civil War that's never been paid, that's still on the books, that all you got to do is erase that, because who are you going to pay? I guess your great-grandkids or something like that. You got, you got payments from World War II to corporations that no longer exist. You have all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so you can take those off the books, but why can't we have Congress sit down? You can go look at the books, go look at all this stuff, bring it to Congress and say, hey, we need this removed from the budget because these companies are doing this. We need to make sure that they're doing the oversight. But that's not what they're saying. Saying we're going to fix this, and by the time you look at this, it'll be fine. At the same time, I got a man who's both. Here's two things about Elon Musk. One, he has too much access to too many foreign governments. He speaks to Putin on the telephone on a regular basis, and he's not the president of the United States or part of the State Department. I don't know if the Treasury, Secretary of Treasury, or the Defense Department. I understand that the Defense Department, they talk to each other, and they have to, because they're two nations that could possibly be at war with each other. So they have to talk to when events happen, right? I get that. But I'm trying to figure out why Elon Musk is allowed to go through books, allowed to have access to people's social security number, allowed to have access to top secrets, and is allowed to run things. And this man is known by the CIA, who he's trying to now get to lay off workers for whatever reason. Why he is allowed to have access, and he is a contract. That is a conflict of interest. Now, today, Trump signed an executive order to sort of this override the courts. That's right. He's just going to override the courts. We don't need the system of checks and balances put in the Constitution. I'm going to bring up a statement that people need to understand. There's a lot of problems. There have been checks on presidents when the same party is in 2 or 3 offices, right? That's happened in the past. But it doesn't exist anymore, and it's dangerous to me to have one party in office in one position. Everybody say, well, maybe it's dangerous to have Democrats and then a Republican in office because you can never get anything done. Another thing is, okay, if I let the same group of people on all 3 branches, where is the checks and balances when something bad happens? Because Republicans are like, Speaker Johnson is telling the courts to get out of the way of what Trump's doing. They're barely doing any oversight to look at what's going on. And it's okay that a man who has government contracts is the one looking over this. His contract is not to look over government fees. Now, if his contract was to look over government fees, fine. I have no problem with that. But his contract is he's making rockets and missiles for the federal government. He's making robots and upgrading satellites and stuff like that. That is his contract. But he's looking at everybody else's contract. He said, well, we got 3-month contracts out there that have been going on for 6 months or 7 years. Oh, I can promise you all my contracts are good. You promise. But who's looking over your contracts? Did you call Bill Gates? Did you call any of the other billionaires to come look at your books? Did you call any other outside people to come look at yours when your books come up? You say, oh no, Trump says, if I think there's any conflict of interest with that. Trump didn't even know what was going on today in that speech he was talking about today. I get what he's saying about government and everything. Other thing, I can't trust Trump, the guy who cooked his own books, who lied in his own books and ended up getting convicted in New York. And say, oh, well, that was a witch hunt. That wasn't true. That didn't happen. The man also didn't pay federal taxes for several years. That's Trump. But we're trusting this guy. We're trusting this guy to fix our problems here in the United States. And everybody says I'm having an emotional response. Not paying attention. Not paying attention. Right now, I promise you, you would not let the owners of Enron right now come through and check the books of the United States, would you? I'm just saying. What was that guy a couple of months ago? The guy with the Bitcoin who was convicted of defrauding people. Would you let him check the books? Would you let him be in charge of the economy? Well, you folks voted that into office. So that's what you wanted. That's what you got. I'm not mad. But if things don't work out, like I said, I'm hearing about medical contracts and grants being taken away. It is what it is. Right? He says, this is what Elon Musk says. He says, if he saves $1 trillion here and we deregulate business, we'll save $1 trillion in federal money, and then next year we'll also make $1 trillion of profit in the economy, and that will be the end of inflation. Be aware of anybody who tells you that lie. Zero inflation. That's what he said. Zero inflation. Be aware of that lie. And it's nice to have your baby around. It kind of covers up, oh, he's a dad. He's a guy. He's doing that. So I got a question. How is a billionaire running all of his businesses, X, which is now, I guess, making some money off of commercials, but has been failing for the past couple of years? Tesla is starting to fail around the world because people are finding out the cars aren't that great. And he has all these other innovations that he's working on. He has his rocket program that keeps blowing up. This guy is in charge of fixing our government. And all people are going to say is, oh, you're having an emotional response. You don't understand what they're doing. And how messed... Yeah, I do understand how messed up the government is. Let's think about something else. So, when Nixon was in office, there were 3 million people working in the government. 1 million jobs have been slashed since then. But the American population is way farther along than it was in 1978, 79, when he was president of the United States. It's way farther along than that. And now we want to slash those jobs. We want to slash from 2 million jobs down, I guess, to 1 million. He says we got to get those people who aren't working so hard to work more. It's like piling stuff on your desk. Do you not complain at your job every day? They're piling more on your desk and not paying you more? That's what he's talking about. Oh, we're going to make this better for people because people are going to get paid more. So you go from making, say, $25.50 to making $25.75, and they've added 300 more piles of work. Have you ever seen an overworked social worker? Y'all don't know about this, right? Kids who are in who are stuck in these child protective services and all those things, and this person's got 25 to 100 kids that they've got to take care of because they don't have enough social workers doing the job. You got FBI agents working on 3 or 4 murders at one time, or DEA agents trying to handle 16 drug cases all at the same time. That's the world we're about to move into. Prepare yourself. CIA. I've got to handle terrorists in Afghanistan and spies in Russia too at the same time. That's going to be my job. Folks, y'all can have this mess. It's going to be a mess. Just letting you know.
You have been listening to Thought You're Awoke No Speed Limit Podcast.